They did their jobs with courage, grace, tenacity, humility. 18 years later, do yours.
24 hours after an emotional plea from comedian Jon Stewart, a House committee voted to extend the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund through 2090. It's expected to go a full House vote next month.
So the fund covers the medical costs of first responders, volunteers, and survivors who are suffering from illnesses related to the September 11th attacks. The current law was renewed in 2015 and is set to expire next year in 2020. So joining us to weigh in on the continuing battle to get first responders the care that they deserve is General President of the International Association of Firefighters, Harold Schaperger. In 2009, Mr. Schaperger was appointed by President Barack Obama to the Homeland Security Advisory Council, which included leaders from state and local government as well as first responders. Great to see you this morning, sir.
It's good to be with you and Sagar. Good to be back on your show.
So I think the question on everyone's mind is, why does it take Jon Stewart shaming Congress for this to get done? I mean, it just seems like this should have been a bipartisan, no-brainer, no questions asked from the get-go.
Well, I'm going to take a more optimistic approach, Crystal, because the fact of the matter is that the bill really has 313 co-sponsors, clearly a very strong bipartisan support. The process can be very frustrating, as was the Droga bill many years ago. It took 8 years to get that through Congress. But we do have the legislation that's now been reported out of committee unanimously, scheduled for the floor. The Senate side, we need a little more help. There's 38 co-sponsors over there, but we do have bipartisan support. But quite honestly, it would also be helpful if the administration would, kind of weigh in, and I haven't really seen any specific indication from them on where they stand or offering their support for this issue.
Have you seen any movement in Congress? Have you had any communications with the White House? I do find that curious, given that the president is such a strong supporter of 9/11 first responders.
Well, I mean, we are consistently working with the administration and various departments on a variety of legislative issues, and certainly this is one where, we have encouraged the administration to weigh in. And again, I'm going to take a positive approach. I'm not being critical. I just do find it interesting that with the president and an administration that does offer their strong support for law enforcement, first responders, that on a bill that's so critically important, we haven't seen any indication of that support, at least at this time.
Did you speak with Jon Stewart before he testified? I mean, that was quite a moment. It really captured the nation's attention. I mean, he was almost serving as the sort of moral conscience of the nation in that moment.
Well, Jon has been such a strong advocate on behalf of this issue. And again, the Droga bill, he's really stood with first responders, firefighters, our members, law enforcement, Port Authority. And I think the important thing is that Jon feels so strongly about it that he understands that this affects virtually every congressional district, literally. Every United States senator has someone that's been affected or should be covered by this legislation and this compensation fund. And I just think that he has such a powerful voice to call out the Congress to simply do your job and do their job and get this passed. This should not be a heavy lift at all.
So the funds have been extended to 2090. Does that mean that the amount of funds needed, are you satisfied with the markup that is this legislation, or is it just a jumping off point to make sure that all the first responders have all they need for as long as they need?
Well, I think the 2090 date really represents the reality that those that were exposed and worked on that pile at that point in time, we will likely not have any of those individuals with us. So I don't think the 2090 date is a problem at all. But we just need to get it passed. We need to get it funded, because these are individuals that really laid it on the line. I mean, much has been said, and I can't really add to the unbelievable power of John's testimony. But these are real people that made real sacrifices, and they're entitled to coverage and compensation. They're dying. We have 2,000 first responders that have had to retire with 9/11 related diseases. We've had just in FDNY, we've had 181 that have passed and that we have lost because of the 9/11 diseases. So this simply should be done now. And the 2090, I certainly think that should take care of the issue for those that were a part of this horrific time.
While we've got you, we wanted to, of course, ask you a little bit about politics. IAFF was one of the first and most visible, highest profile, I would say most influential early endorsers of former Vice President Joe Biden. He just gave a big speech this week in Iowa that I'm sure you took a look at. He called President Trump an existential threat. Is that something you agree with, and how do you think that language sits with your members?
Well, first of all, our members are very politically diverse. We always point that out. I mean, we have a membership that really reflects the political landscape of this country, and we have members of Republicans, Democrats, Independents. We have members that are not particularly thrilled about the whole political process. Having said that, our union's responsibility is to make political decisions based on the issues that affect their lives, their careers, their financial security, their pension security, their families, security. And on that basis, it was very easy for us to, make the decision to support Joe Biden, who has a 47-year career, which some may try to turn that as a negative. I find that very positive, because he has had his hand in so many issues that affect our membership and really all Americans for such a long period of time. As far as the president, listen, I mean, I have avoided getting into any kind of back and forth with the president. I will say this now on the air for the first time, that I don't appreciate it. I thought it takes a lot of audacity for the president to describe this IAFF as a dew-sucking firefighter union, and that allegedly he has done more for firefighters than we have in 101 years of being a union representing our members' interests and building their retirement plans and negotiating their contracts and creating their careers to be as safe as possible. So, I didn't find that helpful, and quite frankly, I think it was counterproductive. We're going to be all in. That's the way we are. We've made a decision. There may be 23 candidates, but our decision is to support Joe Biden, and we're going to be very active out in the field, already planning for our early primary and caucus state operations, and I'm very confident that we'll be successful and that Joe will become the nominee and the next president.
Harold, you also prompted a historic tweet storm from the president. I'm not sure if you recall this, but he went and I think you retweeted about 60 different
you really got under his skin.
Firefighters who were attacking you or were attacking your endorsement. Have you seen the amount of pushback that the president and the administration and the Trump campaign describe within your own union against your endorsement?
I'm going to, Sagar, I'm going to give you the actual facts. We have 316,000 members. We had 602 either social platform, website, or phone calls from members who expressed their disagreement with our decision. 602. We have not lost any membership over this, which was suggested. And one thing about firefighters, even when we disagree, we come together. We don't like anybody attacking our family from the outside. And that's when we end up standing together strong, whether it's out in the field, on the job, and in the political arena. And so, I am very aware that, as I said, we have a very diverse membership, and we have members that are not in agreement with our decision. But we have a responsibility, and we follow our protocols and our policy very carefully. And we welcome, debate and celebrate those that express their disagreement with us. I can tell you this, other than those that were not appropriate responses, I will say, every single member that expressed a disagreement got a personal response back. So we encourage our members to express themselves, and we make sure that we do our job to ensure them exactly the basis of our decision. As far as the tweet storm, I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm going to stay focused on this union doing its work on behalf of some of the very best that this country has to offer, who are on the front lines every single day. And we've been representing their interests for over 100 years. So if somebody wants to describe us in some very negative way or name calling, I haven't gotten a nickname yet. Maybe I will. But and I'm not trying to be flippant about this. I try to be very respectful, of the office. I've been at this now 43 years, so I've worked with a lot of administrations, Republican and Democrat, conservative, and progressive, and we're just going to keep steady and keep our focus on the issues on behalf of our members. And in this particular case, we're going to be doing everything we can to see that Joe Biden gets through the primary process and ends up in the White House.
Well, we always appreciate having you here, and we'll keep our eye on the ball, but also keep us updated on what's going on with that 9/11 compensation fund, and that first responders are getting the care that they really have earned and deserve. So make sure you keep us updated on that, Harold.
Thank you, Harold.
Well, we're very encouraged. Thank you very much, and we just need the Senate to step up to the plate.
All right.
Absolutely.
We'll keep an eye. Thanks, Harold. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Next on Rising, YouTube faces mounting criticism for its inability to tackle extremism, but one expert lays out how the site could actually fix the content problem.
And later on, Sabrina Fulton's life changed in an instant when her son Trayvon Martin was shot and killed. Then 6 years later, she is now trying to ensure that no other parent ever endures what she did. All that when Rising continues.